Hey guys, so basically my English exam is tomorrow. And this is my first time picking up my little cards. These aren't even... Okay. These are my old ones. Others for the lieutenant. Quote, throughout Granville's novel, however, it is clear language can not only dispel the lasting vestiges of misunderstanding, but it can also form the basis for racism and violence. End quote. Shu. I don't know how to say the name. XU. Shut up. The machine analogy and the machine analogy. The machine the machine analogy. The lieutenant. When in the Marines, the military is a machine, language is a machine, civilization is a machine. Quote, if you're part of that machine, you are a part of its evil, end quote. Language is a machine for thinking. Arrival in the lieutenant comparison. Louise takes off helmet moment versus Daniel Rook leaving camp. Both are like big moments, you know what I mean? Quotes from the lieutenant. Daniel Rook was quiet, moody, and man of few words. What was that one? Daniel Rook was quiet, moody, and man of few words. One more time for me. Daniel Rook was quiet, moody, and man of few words. Well done, congrats. His father by now had the rictus of smile that meant his son was exploding his oddness to a stranger. His father by now had the rictus of smile that meant his son was exposing his strangeness to his oddness to a stranger. Fucking nailed it. Now I'm over it. Others for arrival. It is Louise, not the military man, who dares doff her headgear inside the spacecraft and to inhale the risky air. Anthony Lane, 2016. Without communication, it is impossible to tell whether the aliens in Arrival mean good or harm. Eleanor Walpole, 2016. Let's take it back to those quotes. Daniel Rook was Daniel Rook was quiet, moody, a man of few words. I didn't look, trust me. I wasn't looking. His father by now had the rictus of smile that meant his son was exposing his oddness to a stranger. Period. Others for the Tempest. In the character of Caliban, we see illustrated the beginning of social awareness, the first gropings towards an understanding of relationship. Diana Devlin. Through magic and the control of characters, Prospero takes on an almost sadistic quality. Andrew Green. The rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. Quotes from Tempest, this is. So sorry. But this rough magic I here abjure. Both of those are by Prospero. And basically the first one is the moral center of like the whole play, which is like the whole like Prospero is just like, this is so true. The rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. After he's just spent 12 years vengefully planning his revenge. So it's like, this is a whole different person. It's like the whole moral center. Anyway, quotes from The Tempest continued. You taught me language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse. That's by Caliban. That's when he's like really expressing his anger towards Prospero and all he's done. Because Prospero started out really nice. He's like, yes, slay Caliban. Here, have a language, be slaying. And then Caliban kind of did a bad thing. He did a very bad thing of attempted R-word on Miranda, and he was then enslaved instead of treated. But I don't know the timeline of that. Like, I don't know if he was enslaved and then he tried to R-word, or he's R-worded and then was enslaved. But basically he has this huge anger against Prospero, and he's like, you killed my mom, you took my land, and you taught me language, and the only benefit of all of this is I know how to curse you out. So yeah. What care these roars for the name of the king by the boatswain? That's a real word, and I don't believe it. Basically, this man is like what do you guys, why do you guys think you're better than the king? Like, the king is literally talking and you guys are talking above him. Don't you respect the great China being? Like, it literally lives and breathes, and you're like, meh, meh. And the king is like, bro. So the post twain is really being like, the great China being exists. Can you at least respect it? We're in the middle of a freaking storm. We should not be disrespecting anything or anyone right now, because we could just die, and then that would be it, and we would go to hell. Anyway, your charm so strongly works them that if you now beheld them, your affections would become tender. That's by Ariel. That's when they were basically saying, like, to Prospero, this is your chance to, like, change your whole life. Like, you really are changing everything here. You can choose. So sorry. You could choose to be an awful person and continue your vengeance plan, or you can choose to be kind and make up with all of your besties and your brother and the king and such, because, like, they did you wrong, but is it really worth all of this, like, when you could just be nice? So the context of The Tempest, which is really important because that's, like, the whole thing, right? It was written in 1611. In 1609, the sea venture was thought to have sunk, but it was actually later discovered in 1610. Which basically, if you don't know, the beginning of The Tempest, it's like Miranda and Prospero was sent off, like, exiled, and with no food, no water, but actually someone secretly helped them. And they were just, like, thought to die at sea, pretty much. And they actually end up surviving, and obviously all is well. It was speculated that John Dee was the inspiration for Prospero. And John Dee was this guy who was a mathematician, scientist, geographer, and believed to be a magician. So he's, like, basically everything. But the other theory is that Prospero is actually is Shakespeare. Like, Shakespeare wrote Prospero as a true reflection of himself. Like, that's him. But both are not confirmed. Yeah. Key ideas from The Tempest, basically, colonization. Shakespeare has made it abundantly clear his view on colonization, with Prospero claiming land that isn't his and ruling the native people in an entitled Western way. This is the same idea that Montaigne presented in Of Cannibals. Western colonized culture is the real savagery. He basically shows that Prospero, who is the colonizer, has done nothing good for the land. He's enslaved all the people. He's killed people. Like, he hasn't really done anything to benefit these people who were living totally peacefully before, like, chilling. Except Ariel, who was trapped in a tree. But it was kind of like a win-lose situation there. Because then yeah. So, basically, Shakespeare doesn't like colonism, which is, like, me neither. We're on this same. What inspired The Tempest, which is different to the context, like, what actually happened that is then inferred. This is, like, other stuff that inspired it. Like, Ovid's Metamorphosis inspired Prospero's description of his magical accomplishments at the beginning of Act 5. And Ovid also had a dangerous witch, which inspired Sycorax, which was Caliban's mum, who was this evil freaking witch. But it was her land, so she has, like, every right. But she did also trap Ariel in, like, a tree. So it's like, what did Ariel do wrong, you know? Anyway, the key ideas from The Tempest. Religion. Religion was popular during the time The Tempest was written. It has been speculated that Shakespeare is using Prospero to critique religion. Prospero seeing himself as greater than the great China being, and a vengeful plus arrogant man who believes himself a sort of god, showing potentially that God and having full belief in religion may be bad. Obviously, it is fine to be religious, but his point was more that you shouldn't hold your full life and value. Like, you know, like, if God wants to murder this guy, like, it's all in God's plan, like, God knows what's up. obviously God doesn't want you to kill anyone if you believe in God. That would just make no sense. So he's kind of saying that, like, we don't know that God is a brilliant person. We don't know God is literally a God. So that we shouldn't be holding so much power for him. So yeah, basically this is all for the Tempest, and this is all I have. Actually, that looks like really similar, but I have like 4 cards here and like 10 here. For my essays tomorrow, I am gonna fail because I pretty much pulled all of that out of my bum hole when I was saying that. So I don't really want to forget that, but I might. So we'll see. Hopefully I can memorize some of the others and some of the quotes. And yeah, oh my goodness. Oh no, don't even worry.